players just adapt to this new system that they're being thrown at?
Yeah, they're working really hard. It's taken them some time. Again, everything that we do is a little bit different. They have to unlearn a lot of things that they spent 18, 20 years learning. So it's taken some time. They're going at it hard. We're still trying to fix a lot of things, watching film, coaching it in practice. But I mean, they see it, they see the vision, they want to do it, so they're getting better every day.
Is there anyone who stood out at the point guard position, just in terms of someone who's gotten a handle of, what you want and being able to run it on the floor?
Yeah, I think our leaders right now are Samara Spencer and Talasia Cooper. They're doing a really good job of pushing the ball the pace that we want to. And our point guard spot is our very, very hard spot to play for me, but it's probably our most important spot because it sets the pace.
How different are the practices now compared to when you first started kind of getting them implemented into the system?
We didn't really give them a lot of time to ease into it. We kind of just dropped them into a boiling pot, if you will. And so we're going longer now because we're in longer hours. We have more stuff in, but for the most part, they've been going hard since they got here.
Jewel mentioned that you guys have like this whiteboard you use to help keep everyone accountable.
They love it.
Yeah, so how are they responding to that?
Oh, they hate it. So we do a whiteboard and we'll have different things that we hold them accountable for every day, and we'll give them a mark. And so we just publicly put it up there and, hey, this is what needs to be fixed. And sometimes we'll have a consequence. Sometimes we'll just use it as a teaching point. But just making sure that they're self-aware, because sometimes as a player you make the same mistake 4 or 5 times and you don't really realize it over a 2-hour practice. But when you have to see it and you compare it to everyone else, then you do kind of realize it's something that needs to be fixed. And so it's not a player favorite.
No, but how does it translate itself onto the court to kind of minimize those repeated mistakes?
Yeah, we're trying to get ahead of it. We're trying to get ahead of mistakes now, things that just are reoccurring in practice, little things like not boxing out or turning the ball over or not having the right person call back that are going to translate to points in a game. We're trying to get ahead of it in practice so that we don't do that once games start.
Is that something you've done at previous stops, or is that new?
We've always done it, and they've always hated it, and so we'll get creative with it sometimes. If you complain about the whiteboard, we'll give you a tally. We just make it our own.
Who are some of the players that have stepped up to kind of be self-accountable with that whiteboard? Maybe some leaders you've seen?
I think they all, for the most part, embrace it, but every now and then, they'll see themselves get a tally, and they're just funny with it, and it's hard not to laugh. Like, I'm Ruby. That's me. I didn't do that. And so they have their moments where they just make fun of it and make light. And I think that's one thing that's really special about this team is we practice so hard and we run so much, but they are still able to laugh and have fun in the midst of that while competing, which I think is really rare.
You mentioned Talasia Cooper already. Just what have you seen from her over the summer and the fall, and just what kind of role and impact can you envision her having on this team?
Yeah, she's a heck of a player. She's only continuing to get better and better. I think the last 2 weeks have by far been her best 2 weeks, where she's playing at a different gear. She's more aggressive. She's getting to her spots when she wants to. And so I'm hoping things are starting to click for her, and she really just continues to get better and better.
How about Boyd in that freshman class?
Yeah, so she's getting significantly better too. Still a lot of things we want to clean up, but she's going to be able to help us in a lot of ways. She is maybe one of our best at understanding the pressing and being able to make those rotations and see how we want it, be more aggressive on the front end as opposed to the back end. And so she creates a lot of offense from our defense.
I know you had a couple forwards on your national championship team that were 6'2", but having players like Jill and Z, what's that been like for you as a coach, trying to mix that in and make the most out of what they bring with their length and size within your system?
If we said we had anyone 6'2", we lied. I'll tell you that. I think our post players were 5'10", so it's been very, very different to be able to do that. And just, I have to remember to be patient with them, that they're really put in an uncomfortable position because we're playing them out. And so we're not really letting them bang in the post like they've done their whole lives. And I think they like it. I think they embrace it. But there's a lot of times where I think we're playing them as guards. And so they're getting tested more so than everyone. They have to make the same sprint times as guards. They have to make the same defensive rotations as guards. So they probably have it the worst, and they're doing so well because they're still finding ways to gain us possessions by rebounds, scoring off a pick and roll action. They can both shoot the ball very well from the outside, and they're only going to get stronger the more comfortable they get.
Jillian in particular, how have you seen her kind of adapt to some of those guard things? Because she came into Tennessee with a lot of guard skills.
Yeah, so she definitely did, and I didn't know that because the only thing I had was film. And so then we put her through our first workout, which was full court ball handling with cones, shooting threes, one-on-one from the three-point line. I'm like, holy smokes, she is great. She's built for this system, and she really is. And so she just needs to be a little bit more comfortable pushing through, playing faster. Other than that, she has the skill set 100% to play outside.
You said before that you really won the lottery with this group. Can you just elaborate on how, you plan to see them develop throughout the season?
Yeah, I think that they have a very high ceiling. I don't think we're anywhere close to it right now, which is good, you don't really want to be. So they, again, like I said earlier, they compete, they play hard, they're fun to be around. I enjoy walking into practice and being around them, which is not something that every coach gets to do. And again, like our practices aren't just an hour and a half of let's just walk through stuff. We are going at it. We are on them. We are tallying their mistakes. We are running them for their mistakes. We are on them at all times. And so they're just embracing it really, really well. And hopefully we can just keep that up when games get here.
What do you like about the balance you have on the wing? You have, some really talented three-point shooters, but you also have some guards who can really get downhill from that position. Just have they given you the balance that you're looking for out there in the wing?
Yeah, we're getting better. I think for a long time we were struggling hitting shots at speed. We're getting to the point where Tess and Jewel and Ace, so they're knocking down shots quickly. And so that's good. And so it opens up driving lanes for our drivers. And our drivers are doing a really good job of creating those shots for those players. And then we have a nice mix of like Samara and Ruby and Talasia that can do both. And so I do like the balance on that end, which is so important to what we do.
Have you been able to get to Neyland yet to see a football game?
We have been on the road recruiting heavily. So we will have two big, really, really big visits coming up for the next two. And we have a lot of great players in, so I'm really looking forward to it.
What's it look like on the defensive end? I'm sure you had players have players on this roster that maybe aren't as comfortable in the press, and none of them have played in the press like yours at that pace. Just how do you, on an individual level, kind of try to bring players along on the defensive
Yeah,
side?
so I mean, we're watching film. I'll watch film with players before practice every day. We'll watch it as a group, so we'll really teach it individually and as a whole. And then we'll have days in practice that I don't really like these days in practice. I like to let players play through things, but where we stop it every single time you're wrong. Stop, go again, stop, go again. So they're at the point now where they know what they're doing wrong. They just have to fix it in real time.
I've been kind of dying to ask you. Sorry, I don't. If anyone else, do you know like Joe Mazula? Like, when you guys were assistants at Glenville, were you friends at that time?
Yeah, it's it's kind of crazy. We were both assistant coaches, I think, for that brief window, the same time, the same year. I'm good friends with his wife. I went to college with his wife, and so small world on that end. So it's a kind of interesting that we both came out of the same tiny town population, 1,400.
What is it about Glenville you guys have similar career arcs in terms of really finding success, making a huge jump early in career? Just, is there something about Glenville State that produces these coaches?
I think Glenville State is a phenomenal place to be when it comes to sports. It's a great sports town. You can fall in love with sports there. You have a great fan base, great facilities, and so I think a lot of people will be young, and we both were young when we first started. I think it was probably both our first coaching jobs. And you can get burnt out and you can go to the wrong place and realize this is not what you want. Well, Glenville is a place where you go and you fall in love with the sport. And you can see just such a bright future for yourself because people really treat you, kind of like here, where people really treat you like, oh, you're a big deal because you're part of a sports program.
Justin got hired by the men's side of things. What are his early impressions of Rick Barnes in that
He
program?
loves Rick Barnes. And he'll just come home and he'll just be so amazed at the type of coach that Rick is, about how he is always on them, the standard that he holds them to, and just the way he coaches. And it's been really, really helpful for me, honestly, to come back and hear what's going on that side of the gym.
Taking any pointers and bringing it over to the Lady Vols then?
Yeah, there are some times where I'm like, okay, well then I don't feel so bad for, keeping tallies on a whiteboard. Like other people are holding a standard as well. And from everything I have heard about Coach Barnes, his standard is elite and he'll never waver from that. I'm a little bit different on that end where I will let them play through mistakes. But it just really confirms that, all right, like he's a Hall of Fame coach. He made it to the Elite Eight. He's right next door. Like, we're all right.
Has he given you a specific piece of advice since you've been here that's maybe stuck with you with your own team?
Not that pops to my mind, no.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Coach.